How does Camila Cabello do in her first ever live action feature of Cinderella? Let's find out. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing Cinderella. Now there are quite a few movies called Cinderella, so this is going to be the 2021 version that features Camila Cabello and was most recently released on Amazon Prime Video. And this is a romantic comedy musical video based on the classic fairy tale that we all know and love, except this time it's got a bit of a new interpretation happening. Now, like I said, there have been quite a lot of Cinderella movies that can claim that they are doing a bit of a new take on the classic franchise. However, the way in which this one is a little bit different is that it blends together old age and new age, and also blends together drama and comedy. And it's also really impressive that they were able to film such an elaborate movie during the COVID pandemic, which alone I think is a bit of an achievement. And also, Camila Cabello truly shines in her acting debut, and I'm going to be breaking out everything to do with this movie in this video review. So from a storyline point of view, this movie is actually pretty faithful to the Cinderella source material, as it follows all of the main events and the main storyline beats pretty faithfully in this movie. And so I won't go through those, as we all know them really well, and instead I'll focus on the things that are a little bit different in this retelling in this section. So the first one is that they give the Cinderella/Ella character a bit of a career ambition, which is to be a bit of a fashion designer and a dressmaker, which isn't really anything that's happened to all of the previous Cinderella characters. And I feel like this is a really cool way to just really make a bit of a difference and to really give this character a true motivation that she is striving for. And it's really apparent, as all of the other women and the other females in this world only really see success coming from a successful marriage, which really does set the Cinderella/Ella character apart in a really good way. However, she isn't the only female character that has a career ambition, as the prince's sister would make a much better ruler than the prince would in terms of being the next heir to the throne. However, this idea is pretty foreign to the current king. Also, the fairy godmother is coming from a butterfly, which is pretty hilarious. But other than that, like I said, it does follow the main storyline beat pretty faithfully, and it does go the way that you would expect this movie to go. Now, from a positives point of view, I really like the fact that this is a bit of a light-hearted, comedic, easy-to-watch movie that is actually pretty empowering. There are loads of messages in this movie that really does show that you should strive for what you want to go for and not really let anyone get in your way, and just really go for it, which I think is pretty motivating. And also, all of the different characters, they do give them a bit of a purpose and a reason for being, and some of the characters, they really invent a bit of a backstory for them. So like I said, you know, they do make them a little bit more rounded and a bit more fleshed out than you would expect before. And also, I feel like it doesn't deviate too much from the source material. And so if you're a bit of a Cinderella superfan and you just want to see a slight modernization to your favourite fairy tale, then you are going to get what you want to see. However, from a negatives point of view, I do feel like they could have pushed certain moments a lot more. For example, there isn't that much jeopardy happening to the characters in this movie, and they really could have pushed that a lot more. Also, the villainy in this movie isn't that scary or terrifying, and I definitely feel like they could have pushed that aspect a lot more. And also, it is really hilarious in pockets, but I do feel like, again, they could have really gone there with this movie. And also, I only feel like Cinderella really has a bit of gusto and really is unapologetic and really going for what she wants to go for. And I do feel like they could have given that attribute for some of the other characters. But you know, that being said, the clue is in the title, and it is definitely her storyline. And so from a storyline point of view, I do actually feel this movie is actually pretty solid. So the cast and characters in this Cinderella reinterpretation are actually pretty decent, so let's go through them one by one. So of course, first up we have Camila Cabello, who is absolutely brilliant as the Cinderella/Ella character. It's totally her movie, she is totally owning it. All of the musical numbers she has down to a T. She is obviously known for being an incredible singer, and all of those big musical numbers she is absolutely smashing. So Camila Cabello, from a musical point of view, does a really good job. And then from an acting point of view, I feel like she's really good as well. She is the stepdaughter that is so longing to be a fashion designer and is just going for her dream. She does have moments of self-doubt and is really up against certain challenges, but ultimately she does really want to go for what she wants to go for, which, like I said before, is pretty empowering and really motivating. And actually, Camila Cabello really rises to all of the comedic moments, and all of her comedy timing is really, really good, as she's actually pretty funny in this movie, and she's also really representing the underdog, and is really showing that, you know, if you are kind-hearted, you are a good person, and actually you get rewarded for that, which, like I said, is also pretty motivating. And where this character is by the end of this movie definitely shows that she has got a really great character trajectory across the film, which is really, really great. Next up we have Galitzine, who is playing the Prince Robert character, and he doesn't really want to be the next heir to the throne. He doesn't really want to be king, and actually he wants to find his own love and wants to marry for that reason, instead of being forced to marry someone just to expand the empire of the monarchy, which I think is really interesting. However, because the Cinderella/Ella character is so larger than life and is definitely the main focus of the film, I actually feel like the Prince Robert character is more of a secondary character as opposed to being a bit of a co-lead. But, you know, that being said, if you are just wanting to have the focus on the Cinderella character, then it is pretty decent. Next up we have Idina Menzel, who is playing the Vivian character. She is the evil stepmother, and she does do some very crazy and awful things to the Cinderella character. However, I really do feel like they could have pushed all of the evil aspects of this character a lot more. However, if they are trying to do something different with this character, then they definitely achieved it. And the other thing that I really liked about this character is that they actually gave her a bit of a backstory, which I've never really seen being done before. So actually you can understand this character and see all of the things that she has actually gone through before, which I think is really, really cool. But the way in which she acts with her stepdaughter versus her actual daughters is really, really interesting, and actually is really faithful to the classic fairy tale. And next up we have Brosnan, who is playing the king in this movie, and he does such a good job. He is absolutely hilarious. I love how they really make fun of the fact that actually he then sometimes raises his voice to speak like a king, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And actually his relationship with his son, with his daughter, and with his wife, the Queen, is really, really interesting. He's very, very old-fashioned in terms of just seeing marriage as a mechanism to expand his royal empire, yet they did show that he actually did marry for love, which I think is a really interestingly twist on this. So actually this character is not only really, really funny, but is actually pretty layered and complex, which I think is really, really cool. I mean, there are some other characters in here as well, for example, the prince's sister and Ella/Cinderella's stepsisters, but they don't really do that much with them enough for them to actually have a lot more developed storytelling. But, you know, that being said, from a cast and characters point of view, they are really, really cool, and actually they are all really, really good singers in this movie as well. So the visuals in this adaptation of Cinderella are actually really, really good. You really do believe the bullied life of the Ella character across this movie. And speaking of which, all of the different moments within this movie come to life really, really well from a visuals point of view, and all of the musical numbers and the musical moments are pretty frequent, and all of them are really, truly larger than life. And they do a really good job in terms of really immersing you into that particular moment from that character's perspective. So they do really use them really, really well, instead of them just kind of being novelty and there just for the sake of it. And also all of the big ball moments are really, really cool as well. They definitely feel very royal inspired, and you really do feel like you're one of the guests in this big elaborate event. All of the costume designs are really, really cool as well, and all of the magical moments in this film are really, really good as well. I feel like the runtime for this movie is really decent, as it's 2 hours long, and for the majority of the film you're just seeing it from a very normal civilian point of view, and then when the magic comes in, it really does make an impact, as thus far, for the majority of the film, everything looks as you would expect it to look, and so when the magical moments do happen, it really does make an impact. And so from a visuals point of view, I actually feel like Cinderella is really, really decent. So from a comparison point of view, whilst it is a really great musical based movie that really does make you feel like you're in a bit of a theatrical production, I don't think it's as good as The Greatest Showman. But, you know, that being said, it is really, really interesting, as it is obviously based on the classic Disney fairy tale of Cinderella, yet it is free of all of the things that make a Disney formula based movie, and is actually pretty stripped back, and therefore I do actually prefer this version to the recently released Lily James version. And like I said, you know, there have been loads of other movies that have claimed to be a bit of a retelling of the Cinderella movie, and actually I feel like it's on the same level as the Selena Gomez version, the Hilary Duff version, the Lucy Hale version, and the Sophia Carson version, as all of them are all pretty different. So I feel like Camila Cabello is now actually in really good company in doing her own new version of the Cinderella fairy tale. So overall, I did enjoy the Cinderella musical-based movie. I feel like it's a really great one to just escape into for a few hours. And I feel like it's going to serve two different kind of audiences. One, the Cinderella enthusiasts, they're going to get what they want, as it does follow the main Cinderella storyline beats. And those that want something a little bit different are also going to enjoy it, as well as it does change up a few things to make a bit of a new experience. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.